Welcome to our video on factoring expressions involving quadratic forms. Let's go ahead and go over this first example. We want to factor x to the fourth plus 12x squared plus 27. First thing we should always look for, it's the greatest common factor of each one of the terms in here. Notice since we have a leading coefficient of 1 here for x to the fourth, we know that the greatest common factor, it's indeed 1 here. Since we don't have any other x terms here for this constant term. So what we're going to do, we're going to introduce a new variable. So let's go ahead and let's say let y be equal to x squared, okay? Now notice that x to the fourth can be written as x squared squared, okay? If you remember the properties of exponents, we can multiply this. Therefore, using the fact that we have y equals x squared, we can just say that x to the fourth happens to be the same as y squared. Why? Because y is the same as x squared based on that assumption. Now with that said, we can go ahead and rewrite x to the fourth plus 12x squared plus 27 as follows. We can go ahead and substitute in the y's for the x squares in here. So we are going to have y squared, notice again, because y squared is the same as x to the fourth, plus 12 times y, since x squared is the same as y, plus 27. Now notice here we can go back to our previous looked methods. We can do our diamond method. We want to find out two numbers that will be factors of 27 and that will add up to 12. Okay, so think about two numbers that when you multiply them out will give you 27, and when you add them will give you the 12. And those happen to be 3 and 9. Okay, notice 3 times 9 is 27. 3 plus 9 gives you the 12. Therefore, we can factor this expression out as y plus 3 times y plus 9. However, since our original problem involved the x terms in there, we're going to go back and change it back to x values. And notice again, since we know that y is the same as x squared, we can go ahead and say, well, this is just x squared plus 3 times x squared plus 9. And that's our factor form for x to the fourth plus 12x squared plus 27. Okay? So what is the big change here? The big change is that we're actually using y, introducing y as a dummy variable to do some substitution with our previously known methods. Okay? So let's go ahead and see another example involving this particular concept of using a second variable, a dummy variable, to do some substitutions. Now take a look at this example. We're going to factor 3x to the fourth plus 27x squared plus 54. The first thing we should do is let's go ahead and look at the greatest common factor of all the three terms. Notice we have a 3 coefficient here for the quadratic term. We have a coefficient of 27 for the quadratic term. And we have a 54 when it comes to the constant that we're adding. All three of those terms are divisible by 3. So let's go ahead and factor out of 3 first. That's the greatest common factor. So we can just say that we're going to end up with 3x to the fourth plus 9x squared. Why? Because 9 times 3 will give you the 27. Plus, in this case, we're going to find out what number multiplied by 3 will give us the 54. Okay? What number multiplied by 3 will give you the 54? And that happens to be 18. Now let's go ahead and think about a dummy variable. Okay, so we can make it into a method that we can solve based on our previously known strategies. In this case, I'm going to again go ahead and say that y is equal to x squared. Okay, notice y, because I'm using an x squared here and I have an x to the fourth. One more time, what I'm going to remember is that x to the fourth is the same as x squared squared Okay? And I can argue the same way, since I'm making this assumption that y is equal to x squared, I know that this will be just y squared. So x to the fourth will be the same as y squared. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and go back to this one and rewrite my expression as follows. This is just 3 times y squared, because x to the fourth, we said it's y squared, plus 9 times y. I'm going to argue that y is just x squared based on my substitution, plus 18. Okay? Now we're going to go ahead and use our previously known methods. Again, we can try to play with our diamond method here to factor out this particular expression. So let's go ahead and do our diamond here on this side. And we're going to have 18 here and 9. Now we're looking for factors of 18 that will add up to 9. Okay? And if we do a little bit of thinking, we're going to realize that that's 6 times 3. Because 6 times 3 will give you 18 and 6 plus 3 will give you 9. So we can rewrite this one as 3 times y plus 6 times y plus 3. However, to get our final answer, we need to remember that we made the assumption that y was x squared, so we're going to substitute that value back in there. Okay, so we have 3 times x squared plus 6 times x squared plus 3. Okay? And that will be our factor form for this expression of 3x to the fourth plus 27x squared plus 54. So with that said, I would like to thank you for watching this video and good luck with your homework.